everyone, and welcome to the Honor the Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Ledford, and today we have Samiel Carolina with us. We're beginning now with an oracle card to just help us see what energy is coming in to be with us in the container. So today we've chosen from the mythic oracle, and Demeter's come forth for the harvest. Now, Demeter's the goddess of the fertile earth, and she's the mother of Persephone. And so when Persephone comes up from the underworld, the land gets fertile in the spring, and Persephone stays in the earthly realm through the spring and the summer and the fall. And then in winter, she goes down to the underworld to be with Hades, and her mother goes barren. And it's such a beautiful representation of the cycles that we walk through in life. That play between, that ebb and flow and play between when things are abundant and fertile and when things are barren to rest. And so she comes forth today in the abundance of the harvest of all the seeds that we have planted. And this is such a beautiful way to start our conversation today. So I welcome Samiel Carolina to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon, and everyone for being here with us and for inviting me. It's a pleasure, really a pleasure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm excited to dive in. Can you share yourself with us? Tell us a little about you.
A bit about me. So I'm from Argentina, currently living in Switzerland. That's my human biography. So, my cosmic biography. I became a soul alchemist when 10 years ago, I discovered my medicine, and I love the card that you pull. I'm not surprised that she came forth, because that's the work I've done 10 years ago when I felt that my marketing and design career or identity was very ill and almost death. I had to pause and give myself permission to go down in my own underworld to reach for my light and my medicine, and who is it that I really am, and what is it, why I decided to incarnate here, and what I'm supposed to be doing and being, right? So 10 years ago, I started to release myself from that constructed identity, yes, the self-imposed expectations and expectations of others, my family, husband, ex-husband, etc. And so Soul Alchemy came, and I'm dedicated for now 10 years to expand our consciousness, specifically for women, to remember who we are, yes, and our creative powers, our the integration of our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions of who we are. Yeah, and so my work is dedicated to that, to become that divine human essence that we are here. That's who I am, and I love cats, so I'm a cat lady. And I walk the sacred Mayan path, so I'm also fire keeper for the Mayan tradition. I work with the elders in Guatemala since 2010, and that has helped me so much to understand, the profound simplicity of all the spiritual teachings and all the transformation of consciousness that we are going through, and how we are, each one of us, responsible to ground that in our lives and on earth, right? Yeah. Just like Persephone and her mother did. So, yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about the role of the fire keeper?
Well, for me, the role of the fire keeper is to keep the fire alive and invite people to transform themselves, and invite, just as Demeter did for her daughter, to give others permission to unmask themselves and offer those masks to the fire. So I'm the one, this is what I do in my work, is I'm the one keeping the space safe for us to transform, for us to get naked, the masks, the jewelry, the rings, that all the artifacts that we wear in our identities. So we burn that to the fire, and the firekeeper keeps the fire alive, asking for offerings, asking for humanity to transform, right? And making sure it's not, too wild. The fire is not too wild, and it's not dying out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And so, do you find yourself, even a number of years into this journey, being continued to ask to burn your identities down?
Oh my goodness, every single day.
Yeah. But I think this is an important place to pause for a moment with this idea of, even as a firekeeper, it's not something that you do. You don't just burn it down and then that's the end of it and now you keep the fire. It's this continual process of unmasking and unfolding and opening, it feels like to me. Is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's a dance and it's a conversation with the fire. I think that the fire in alchemy, the fire is the first alchemical element. It's the one who receives your offerings and the ones who compost. As you said, when you were presenting the goddess, you need to compost and fertilize the soil where you're going to plant the seeds of creation. So fire is the first element that ignites the transformation. Yeah. And it's a constant, our consciousness is so vast, and our subconsciousness takes up to 95% of who we are. So we are really living 5% conscious of our potential. So of course, the process of offering to the fire every part of you is everyday practice. And so for me, that represents dance, ritual, oracle reading, talking to a friend, going out in nature, like really piercing the layers of illusion of who we think we are, because we are much more than what we think we are, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's really a conversation. And I always say to the women that work with me, the journey is the destination. There is no place to go and light the fire or I'm ready to transform. Yeah. There is no place to go, actually. It's every day, every moment, every breath. Is this that keeps us alive? The fire keeps us alive. So yeah. And for me, as a firekeeper myself, I think it's my duty, my responsibility to burn myself, to offer myself to the fire as much as sometimes I fail, but
as one must.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, sometimes I get caught myself in pretensions and whatever. But really for me it's coming from a place of, integrity as well. And presence with the fire to say, I'm committed to this practice, which is every day. And it doesn't have to be serious, right? And this is one of the things that I learned with the elders in Guatemala is they taught me to recover and restore in our journey that I find is so important, these eyes of innocence and these eyes of playfulness with the task of transformation. Because in the ancient paradigms, we thought that, everything has to be in, so serious and perfectly done. And, it's like, step by step and discipline. And they taught me, to actually laugh at ourselves.
God, there's so much beauty there. And I think you've hit on something so gorgeous, because it's also something that I've really played with, that idea around it really is the journey. And we've heard that a lot and it can feel a little cliche, but when it started to spiral into my system, when I started to embody that more, it changed everything. And I think part of it was the shift from linear thinking, right? We've spent so much time in this linear thinking of you move from point A to point B. It's all along a path. When I blew that path up and started to zig and zag in my life, I mean, the point where it really started to happen was I left corporate lawyering and I went to travel around the world. Lived in a Land Cruiser in Africa for 10 months, right? That was the start of it. And so my life started to move. And that gave space for me to start to feel that spiral. And we've been talking a bit on the show around that experience of coming back to the same place or to the same medicine, but from a different angle of approach. And can you speak into that from your point of view?
Absolutely. You mentioned something very important here, which is the notion of movement and zigzagging, which is the feminine, an important aspect of the feminine essence and nature's essence that I find is very important for us to restore in our awareness. Because we are not fixed. We think we are fixed because in the illusion that gave us a sense of safety and comfort, but we are not fixed. We are transforming. And one of the medicines is movement, is dance, which is the most ancient spiritual practice for women, and specifically dancing around the fire. And the symbol that we place in the fire when we offer the fire, when we do a fire ceremony to offer ourselves to the earth and to the sky, is a symbol that in the Mayan tradition symbolizes the spiral. And the spiral is the evolution of consciousness, and the spiral is how everything moves and is created in the galaxy, in the world, in our cells. The fetus, how it grows inside our womb, everything sparkles from a spiral. So the movement that we are actually doing is spiraling, going into spiral upwards or downwards. But we want evolutionary. We want to speak about the spiral upwards. And so what happens is we expand. Yes, I just told you that our subconscious takes up to 95%. So when we grow into our self-awareness, we grow from that 5% aware of ourselves to 6% to 7%. And so that percent is how, the step up in the spiral. So we will go through the same, also because at the soul level, we have already a path that we dream back in heaven before we were conceived and incarnated. Yeah. So as we go through that path and we provide with our body the experiences that our soul needs for her to evolve in this lifetime, we will go through the same topic. For example, if your evolutionary task is to evolve through relationships, your theme is relationships in this lifetime, yeah? Or your theme can be sexuality, can be money, can be contribution, different topics, yeah? But there is a red thread in your life. And so if your red thread is relationships, when you engage in expanding your awareness about relationships, you will go through the same topic or the similar event, but with a higher level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So you will move higher in the spiral of consciousness, but you will go through the same point or the same experience, but with a different perspective, with more awareness, with more emotional awareness, mental awareness, spiritual awareness, yeah, and physical capacity. So that's essentially how I see, this spiral movement.
Yeah, gorgeous. God, that I could feel it like deepening in my system as you were talking about it. And awareness, sometimes I think because culturally we want a lot of action, we maybe give less to awareness. But awareness to me is everything. Like it's 95% of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that at this point in time, cultivating our capacity to be and to observe ourselves and to contemplate ourselves is so crucial. It's so crucial because, I mean, I was recording this morning just a video about this for my mentorship program about, self-awareness is the key to empowerment. I mean, empowerment is not a skill, is not liberating your energy, that's part of it, but really mastering yourself, your psychic, your emotions, and your spiritual practice, that is what, knowing ourselves inside out is what allow us to make conscious choices and conscious action. Mm-hmm. Because we are addicted to the doing and we are addicted to the light. Yeah. And we have refused to look at ourselves, honestly, without judgment, to see, okay, who we are being. Is this serving me? Is this making me happy? How can I make different choices? And from there, taking actions from the conscious choice that we are making, not in autopilot.
Yeah. God. Yeah. I think too, part of what's come up for me lately with so much that's going on and being revealed, of the darkness, in particularly around, sexual harassment and against women, is I don't want to gift my daughter rage against the patriarchy. I want to gift my daughter self-awareness so that she knows and can hear the whispers and intelligence of her body and her soul, of her soul through her body. That's what I want to gift her, not a bunch of rage. Mm-hmm. Rage important for maybe that first step of awareness, but we've got to step beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, how we step beyond that is understanding, and I know many people don't like to hear this, but I don't care. I will say it.
Please.
The system doesn't exist separated from us.
Right.
We are part of the system. We are daughters of the mothers and fathers who came, and all the women and men who came before us, and we have patriarchy running through our veins. Right. And so when we do the light and the shadow work, when we go down as Persephone did, because Demeter was holding the space for her to go down into her shadow, we can understand how through our lineage, we have abused our own bodies. We have castrated men. We have emasculated men. We come from lineages that are quite messy sometimes. So we need to understand how we are daughters of these systems. And we have the duty and the responsibility to do this work of shadow and light integration. So we can embrace, the pain that we feel in our bodies. And so understanding how this comes from an individual experience, but also a systemic experience, and how this, what we are seeing in the media and in the collective, is serving us to become aware of the shadow, because we neglected our shadow, but the shadow is what really needs to be composted here into light to sustain the light.
Yeah, it's like we become obsessed with the light.
Yeah, for me, we are totally addicted to the light. Yeah. And so from that place, it's very easy to make other people guilty or the system guilty. But that is a very disempowered place. And I'm not saying that we don't need to raise our voice and say how we feel and what happened to us. That I'm not saying about that. I'm saying that we have the power to transform and to see what we have done in our bodies, to our daughters, or our mothers to us, or our parents to us. What do we do with that?
Yeah.
What do we do with that? And for me, it was, look, I have years and years of, work on myself, healing anorexia since I am, 18. And anorexia was my first experience of self-abuse.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah. So when I have the perspective to say, oh my God, look at how did I treat my own body, and at that time, I can go back in time and see myself understanding that my body was an object. That's how I grew up. I was a model when I was a teenager. So absolutely, my body was an object for me. And then I gift that object to other people and to men and to photographers. So that's how I saw myself. But that is my own personal experience, but also part of the system. So we are not separated from the system. We cannot blame the system. We can choose to understand the system and act in a different way, and invite women and our daughters and of course our sons, because we need to show them
for sure
how is a woman fully embodied in her sensuality and her sexuality and her creativity, so our children can now have a different role model. But I am convinced that this revolution will start with us.
All I can say is amen, sister, because I can really resonate with that body as an object and controlling that body, right? And there was that huge control aspect for me in my anorexia. Like I wanted to control something, and my body was that object. And then it went on to controlling it in sexual environments. Like I was going to be, I would know, and I was choosing, but I was abusing myself in those choices. They were my choices, but I was abusing myself. And it's from a very long lineage of women being abused and abusing themselves.
Yeah, and abusing others, because what we do is we manipulate men, we manipulate our relationships. Yeah, we use our looks and our body and our feminine or our sexual experience or sexual expression to get what we want.
Yeah. I had a really close friend tell me in my 20s, in a very frank conversation that I will never forget. She said, Shannon, you use sex as a weapon. And she sort of blew my mind open at that point.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of healing and continued healing around that.
Yeah, absolutely. For me as well. That's why I'm saying we need to show up to the fire regularly to do an honest check-in. It's like, oh my God, now I'm in a new relationship. So how I'm showing up here, who I am being in this new relationship. This is it's a continuous work. And I just very recently, a year ago only, I explore how my father figure was contributing to that objectivization of my body, right? Which I was absolutely unaware of, right? So there are always signs and information that is so interesting to receive and to compost and offer to the fire. What is not true about me? This image about me is not true. It's not true. And here is when, self-compassion and understanding is so important in this journey, because the journey is the destination. So we need to keep going and understanding who we were at that time. What was my level of consciousness at that time that I saw myself and I behaved like that. Yes. And I did the choices that I did, and giving myself permission to evolve now. And I feel that's the way we truly embody this notion of compassion. Compassion is not possible to experience without understanding who I was, how I saw myself and how I'm seeing myself, and how other people might be in their own journey also, with a level of consciousness that it was me 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 1 year ago. And they are doing the best they can. And that's when compassion comes. Compassion is not a feeling. I think it's a state of consciousness and understanding.
Early on, you talked about helping the women that you work with remember. Can you speak into the remembering a bit?
Yeah, for me, remembering is collecting the pieces of us. Yeah, is gathering the pieces of our essence that we have, we left in the womb of our mother, we left in our childhood, in experience at school or in kindergarten. So we have parts of our soul that are stored in different experiences in our lives. And we want to gather them back and see, why is it that we left our gift and our medicine? Why is it that I left my intuition when I was 3 years old? Why did I left my creativity when I was 7, right? So we want to remember who we were, right? Remembering is the gathering and coming together to find that puzzle that is, that makes up our essence. And remembering the ancients as well, and also remembering the soul dream before we incarnated, as I said before, right? I believe there is a dream that we dream before we come here. Instantly we forget, because that's the rule of Earth School. We forget what we dream, and so we need to remember.
Yeah, there's something going on for me right now around the healing of the lineage, of our individual lineage, blood lineage, helps us reclaim that destiny that we're here for. Because our lineage, our ancestors, they want that for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so beautiful. And when I do the lineage liberation ceremonies or private sessions, I come to confirm, I can sign this, that it's all about love. And we have so many ancestors, all of them, like celebrating us and cheering us up. Yeah. So we can evolve. So we can, because they know, yes, they know that as we evolve, everyone evolves. Yeah. We are all connected. And I find that, the family constellation that we have chosen for this lifetime is the perfect path for us to remember, to go to actively seek the healing and pull up the pieces. Sometimes we carry behaviors or identities that belong to our ancestors just because out of love, they want us to remember what we don't need to repeat.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to repeat the pain of abuse. We don't need to repeat the suffering of lack of money. We don't need to repeat their stories. But why we are going through the same story? Because that's the way we remember here on Earth. Yeah. So I think that's for me, we have to engage in the actively healing, not healing from a place of, I need to fix myself, or one day I will be perfect and my life will fall into place, but from a place of, I want to reach my potential. What is it that I am here to be and share, right?
Mm-hmm. It feels like, too, to me, in the collective right now, we're in a time to really end the patterns of lifetimes that our ancestors have held. And I don't know that there's always been the collective space to do that. But it feels like now is one of those times.
Yeah, I do believe, I also feel as you feel, Shannon. And why is that? Because through our liberation, through our evolution, if you want, we can access our medicine, and our medicine has a specific seat in the tapestry of humanity. And so now we are claiming that identity, if you want, that essence that makes up the tapestry of humanity, that restores the tapestry of humanity, that restores the life force that we need, with our sexuality and our creativity to give birth to the new humanity. And that's why women, we are so important here. We are the womb carriers. Yes, the masculine fertilizes us with action. But we are the womb carriers. We are giving birth to the new humanity. And just as Demeter did for her daughter, we are the ones sitting in this new tapestry, holding the space for humanity to burn into the fire everything that is not true, seeing into the shadow, and consciously choosing to step into the light. But we need to choose. It doesn't happen by itself. You see what I mean? So I think this is so important that we can really see it in our seed and hold the space for everyone to transform. And that's why we can absolutely do now so rapidly the healing process, so fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. On that note, that was beautiful. My love, are you ready for the random questions?
Bring it on.
So what goddess guide is most forward for you right now? Who are you playing with?
Who am I playing with? I am playing with, I think, the Divine Mother. Mm-hmm. That's the one that comes in the last few months, kicking my butt. As usual. Yeah.
What's her greatest lesson for you of late?
Her greatest, she's really showing me how to trust. I think the concept of surrendering and trusting that, she's really holding me. She's holding me. I'm in the process, shifting countries and changing, deeply in my life. So I need to trust. I need to open and trust, and she holds me.
And the second one is, what's your favorite way to play? You spoke into the innocence and playfulness of this process of evolution. So what's your favorite way to play?
Certainly with my cat. With all cats. I play with cats. So beautiful. They are great teachers around playfulness.
Oh, yeah. I can feel them too, like basking in the sun from a window and all of a sudden just flipping around.
Yeah, rolling in the earth on the snow, that doesn't care. Every circumstance is perfect to enjoy life. Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, my love, this has been such a fertile conversation today. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And tell us, how do we reach out and connect with you?
So you can find me on samielcarolina.com. You can find me on Facebook as Samiel Carolina Rodriguez Barros Lopez. Sorry about that. And on Instagram as well, I'm Samiel Carolina. So it will be beautiful to connect with you and share more this journey together. Mm-hmm.
And we'll put all those links over at honorthefeminine.com in the show notes for this episode to make it really easy to get together with you. My love, thank you for today.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for everything you do and the light that you spread.
Hello again, everyone. I loved being with Samiel. It was so beautiful to drop into how we're addicted to the doing and the light, to feel into her work as a fire keeper in the Mayan tradition, and to really step into how we're a no to shame and how we can show up in that way. So if you would like to deepen in with her, you can go over to honorthefeminine.com and to the show notes for this episode where you can connect with her more deeply. I am all about deep connection. And so there are a couple of ways that you can connect more deeply with me, and I would love that. We can start with our Honor the Feminine Rhythm Facebook group, where we're creating a space to share our voices and express our truth, and a safe space to start to do that, because we can talk about that, but then showing up and living into it feels different, and it shifts things internally. It enables us to more embody it. Also, I am loving Instagram right now, so you can come over and join me on Instagram at Honor the Feminine. And I'm doing stories on a regular basis and posting all my musings there. And finally, please subscribe and give a review for the podcast. It helps other women and men that desire to deepen more fully into honoring their feminine find us. And that's what we're doing. We're radiating it out for those that are desiring to find us. So if you love today, please share it with someone. All right. Thanks for listening and have a great day.